There's a new #5 in the pop charts this week. It's the single Orinoco Flow. It's by the Irish singer Enya. Now, Enya hasn't had a chart single before as a solo artist, but she has enjoyed success with her brothers and sisters as part of the very popular Irish group Clannad. Since going solo, she's written the music for a David Putnam film, and her new album Watermark has just been launched at a party in London. Caroline Wrighton went to meet her.
Myself and the producer, Nicky Ryan, have been in the studio for the last year, and we never let anybody into the studio, and we just do what sounds really good to the ear, and it goes down on tape. And we're not influenced by anything. I don't listen to radio or any other music, working with music all the time. So the only way I can describe it is it's Enya music.
We could ask advice, but we don't bother asking advice from other people. Otherwise, I doubt if it would be unique. We worry about it and we think, oh God, is this going to turn out right or whatever. But I've avoided asking anyone's opinion.
Enya travelled from the studio she, Nick and his wife Roma work in Dublin to the launch in London of her new album Watermark. Roma, now her manager and lyricist, was the one who helped Enya get her first solo break.
And she thought, this is very picturesque music. And she said, you know, let's make copies, and I'd like to send one to David Putnam. And he immediately replied to her and said, I love these melodies and I can use them. So she came out with the script for The Frog Prince.
But for many people, Enya's particular style was first noticed when it accompanied the BBC TV series The Celts. Does your Celtic background influence you at all, do you think?
I'd say so. There's a combination of the traditional music with classical music. I've been influenced a lot with classical music, and I find it creeps in.
It's been described as landscape music. What does that conjure up for you, that expression?
I find people have different opinions of the music. It's like it conjures up a lot of pictures. Because of the mood in it and the sound, it seems to evolve a lot of feelings, different feelings for a lot of people.
What do you imagine people doing when they're listening to your music?
Relaxing.
To be home again in my land. I've been away so long, away so long. Are you still waiting there for me, my love? I'll soon be home again in my land.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show, which finds me right up the northwest tip of Ireland. My guests tonight, singers Enya and Daniel O'Donnell, both hail from this particular part of the world, and they'll be with us shortly.
To be home again in my land, to be where I belong, where I belong, and I know I'll find a welcome there when I am home again in my land.
My next guest promised to take me on a sightseeing trip through scenes of her childhood. Not that her childhood was all that long ago, but in spite of that, her achievements throughout the music world are impressive indeed. We met and drove to Mount Errigal, a place that is very special to her. I know that in your early days, Enya, when you went to boarding school and all that, this had a special meaning for you, this particular spot, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. When you're very young, it's very hard to assess when you're near home, but this was always the landmark for me, that I was just around the corner from home. It's special here, and it's so peaceful, and it's the only place where I can actually come back to that I just forget about work. And that's really important, as you know yourself.
Do you feel that your music sort of reeks of this kind of thing?
This would have influenced me, definitely.
Now, so many people, their childhood is something they can quite easily forget about, really. It's a part of their life. You say, what was your childhood? Oh, it was okay. And they just talk about it. Now, my childhood has always been very special to me. Now, you're exactly the same, aren't you?
Yes, well, my childhood, there was so much music happening around me, and that has a great influence on me. And it's, you know, to my parents, my grandparents, they were involved in music. And I come from a very big family and very happy sort of memories of my childhood.
Yeah. How many of you were there?
There's 9 in the family. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters.
And where do you fit?
I am, I like to put it, the 4th youngest.
The 4th? Now, this particular part of the world is very much a Gaelic area, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, I've spoken to you about this before, and I envy your ability to speak such great Gaelic. How much Gaelic did you speak when you were young?
Well, it was all Gaelic I spoke until I went to school, which was around 3 or 4, and then I would have learned how to speak English. But that's all I heard, because around here they only speak Gaelic.
And you sing a lot in Gaelic now, do you?
Yes, it's because it's my first language, so I'm extremely comfortable when it comes to, I can express myself so much better in Gaelic.
Now, you're going to sing one of your songs for us, and which is called Lehe Gal Moge, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, I know enough to know that is the sort of the lovely days of my youth, and the sort of bright and happy days of my youth. When and why did you write that one?
I think we had decided we'd like to work on an Irish song, and it was in the vein of traditional Irish music.
Now, just for people who are going to listen to the song now, just tell us what the rest of the words are going to say so they can try and follow it as it goes along.
Well, it's basically written in a lament form. It's Ohonis Ohono, which is crying, and it's really crying on the loss of my youth. And it's gone forever, and it's basically talking about the happy memories I had of my childhood.
You haven't lost your youth yet. Let's hear the song. Well, we've just broken our little journey to pop in at a place called Leo's Tavern. Leo happens to be Enya's dad, and he's sitting here with us. Lovely to see you, Leo.
Delighted to meet you.
Because I've just discovered, actually, that chatting with Leo, that way back in the late 40s, I was on the old dance band circuit around this country, and I used to come and play at the local little church hall here down the road, and in many of the villages around here. And you were on the dance band circuit in those days too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had a dance band here, an all-family dance band. My
Really?
father, my mother, my brothers, and my sister and myself.
Well, one thing I noticed just sitting here talking to you now, in all that years, you've never taken a drink, have you?
No.
Well, that's a brave thing, because it's not easy to spend your life in dance bands and not take a drink.
I know.
Now, in those days, in places like this, and where I come from, music was very much part of a community thing. We used to go to little functions and get together and make music together. I know people do that today as well, but we didn't have television and we didn't have a lot of diversions,
There
as
was
they
no
say.
even radios.
Now, was there a very close-knit community here when you were young?
It was very much so, especially with the family. It was a very big family, and because of Mommy and Daddy being involved in music, it was inevitable that we would get involved in music. And I can always remember sort of being entered for Féisní Call when I was very young, and it was just inevitable for me that I would want to study music and carry it through as my
I better
career.
explain what Féisciúil is, in
Yes.
case anybody doesn't know. And it's a festival that they have in Ireland. It's like a local festival. Ciúil is the word for music, and Feis is a sort of a festival, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have dancing competitions and singing competitions.
Yeah.
You get little medals and things to wear to
Right.
show you're one of the good ones. Now, all of the people I've been talking to travel an awful lot because of their success in the music business. And when you travel a lot, you give a certain I suppose you give a certain impression of Ireland, whether you like it or not. You're a sort of an ambassador, you're going around the country, and people do have some very funny impressions of Ireland, actually. There are still people
It's
around the
very
world
mixed, yeah.
who think that we have sort of pigs in the kitchen and all that sort of thing. And they still don't know really what Ireland is like. Now, what would you like people to think Ireland is like?
Well, for me, it's very special for me, especially in Gweedore. I come up, very often back to Gweedore, and generally they should see Irish people as very open and warm people, and very happy. And all these other stories, they should really try and forget them.
Before we go, can I thank you, Leo, for having us here?
Delighted
It's lovely
indeed.
to see
And
you.
you're welcome at any time.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon
Lovely
again.
to see you. Let's go.
This is Mahadagalan. To translate that, it would have meant the sheltered plain.
And you spent a lot of time here when you were a child. I've been looking for your sandcastles, but they're all gone. You spent a lot of time
long
playing
gone.
here on Sundays, I suppose. You would come here with your parents, would you?
Well, this was like in the summertime. We used to come down here early in the morning and spend all day here, the family. And we'd leave here about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening. And it was just exploring all around here. It was just great fun.
Because we were going to do this thing together, and I've spoken to an awful lot of people about, asked them what they thought of your music and so on, so I get very honest opinions from different... And it's lovely, really, because so many people have said things to me like, well, I can't describe it really, but when I'm feeling terribly fed up or depressed or anything, I just put one of her albums on, and it has the most lovely soothing effect on me. Now, you must get that a lot, do you?
That is it. It seems to be to a lot of people, they want to conjure up their own emotions and their own imagery with the music. And I think it's absolutely wonderful.
People have said, quite unprompted, they say things like, I don't know, there's something lovely and warm and spiritual about it. It has that effect on me.
Well, it's to do with the love I've had for voices, choral work, Gregorian chant. It's fascinating the way the voices can swell in and out. It's just wonderful, There's nothing else that can do that, really.
Yeah. When I was young, in the early days, I used to sing a lot of the Gregorian chant.
Really?
Oh yeah, I used to do it, and
Incredible.
I loved it so much,
Yeah.
and I still listen to it now every now and again. And that's the same thing, you see. It has that sort of I don't know. It pacifies me.
It's like the voice can be used as an instrument. You can sing solo, but also it's just when you put layer upon layer of vocals like we work with it, it's just a blend. You don't really hear that this is 100 voices or 200 voices recorded. it's just an overall beautiful sound.
Now, another thing about this place was the fact that you had a very, very close relationship with your grandparents, didn't you? And they were buried just near here.
The Mahara graveyard is just right beside here, and in the line of the song, the loss of comfort gone before is referring to them, because the beach attracts me to it. I love it, it makes me very happy, but now with my grandparents resting there, there's an element of sadness involved with being so happy to be back here.
The song on your show, which you're going to do for us now, I didn't realise that you've done it several times. You've been filmed and talked about it to other people, but this is the first time you've come to the actual inspiration. This is
really special for me, because I mean, this is what the song is about. It's about Mahara Garan standing on this beach, and it's a great opportunity to be here and to sing the song.
She's live in the studio tonight, playing the unique sound of Enya at number 27 in the chart this week. It's a very gorgeous song, Caribbean Blue.
Enya, and Orinoco Flow has been incredibly successful. I guess she would have been brought up on a diet of classical music, and that's the core of her own approach to it. She is a classical composer, you might say, and that comes through in the music. Really lovely song. You'll know it too if you've listened to the radio. Orinoco Flow, we welcome Enya.
Enya, Orinoco Flow on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
こんばんは、小林克也です。今週はこの人をスタジオにゲストで迎えました。Enya です。Welcome. And congratulations on the success of your record. Did you expect it? And it's big in most of the countries in the world, right?
No.
No, it isn't?
It was totally by surprise that Orinoco Flow was going to chart so much in all the countries.
Mm-hmm.
A pleasant surprise.
Pleasant surprise,
Mm-hmm.
right. Of course, this is your second album. The first album was released from BBC as that was a soundtrack for the TV doc.
It was, yeah, for BBC Two documentary called The Celts.
Mm-hmm.
But I would call Watermark the first album because it's the first solo album.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we had a lot of freedom on the Celts album, we were still under direction from the director on what themes we would be writing to.
So you had the total control,
Freedom,
right?
yes.
Can I ask you how long it took you? I mean, not like let's talk about this Orinoco Flow. How many hours did you spend for that?
An Orinoco
Orinoco
Flow?
Flow.
Let me see. It started off months before we had finished it because it was one of those tracks where it kept being shelved. We kept having coming against sort of a brick wall with it, and we kept saying no, it doesn't work, so we kept putting it aside. And then maybe 2 months later we'd say, I'd like to listen to this again and see there's something about it that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked in it, and then again we put it aside.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time was in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and we felt we needed one more track for
Uh-huh.
the album.
Uh-huh.
And we said, okay, we'll try working. At that stage, it was just called Sail Away. So we worked in it again, and this time it worked for it.
Is this story about you true that when you were a teenager, you didn't expose yourself to all the pop music or the rock music? You have been you've been trained classically, and you didn't know what.
The popular music was there, but it didn't attract me as such to it. I certainly heard a lot of pop music because it's inevitable you hear it in on
Right.
TV, on radio. But because I was at boarding school, it was much harder to hear popular music there because we were restricted on how much radio we listened to or how much television we saw. So then I focused more so on classical music because I was studying.
What about now? I read somewhere that you try to stay away from all the music.
Consciously now we
Consciously,
do.
yeah.
Because myself, Nicky, and his wife Roma, who writes the lyrics, we like to isolate ourselves in Dublin in Nicky's studio while we're working on the album so as we can retain a lot of original ideas and not to be influenced by anybody else.
It's the influence. You don't mean it's the popular music is what, polluted or
No, we don't want to copy anything that somebody else has done.
You mean you might do subconsciously if you
Yeah,
listen?
I think people do that when they hear something. They can go into the studio.
It's
and
contagious,
then,
right? Yeah, that's.
They think, oh, I'll use that idea. Whereas we'd like any idea we have to come from us.
What's the next video? Evening Fall? Is that?
The Evening Falls is finished.
Is that the single or?
That's the next single, yes.
Tell us about the video. We haven't seen it yet.
It's the Evening Falls is a ghost story. And it was a story related to Roma about this lady, and she lived in America. And she used to dream constantly about a house. So it was a few years later, herself and her husband were going to retire, and they were going to retire in England. So they were house hunting. And she spotted this house, but it wasn't for sale, but she was fascinated by it, and she wanted to see this house. So her husband drove up to it, and she knocked at the door, and the maid came along, and she didn't say any word to her, she just walked away. And the lady thought, what have I done? So it was the butler, I think, who said to her, you must excuse us, he said, because every night you've been walking around this house. So as she was dreaming about this house, she was actually there. So that's what Evening Falls is about. And in the video, you see the camera going through the house as she'd been dreaming about it.
Yeah. Listening to your music, we kind of expected you were a vegetarian, or are you one?
How did you guess?
Well, the music, and it is religious, right?
No,
it
I
is
think
not religious.
No. The reason you might say it's religious is because of the use of reverb. The sound, it sounds like it might have been recorded in a church. Myself and Nikki have a great love of very long reverb on sound.
Reverb, right.
But it's
The
not
echo,
true.
right? You're talking about,
yeah.
right?
この番組はブリヂストンの提供でお送りしました。
female artist in the world, having sold something like 50 million albums. But her distinctive vocal talents and the sheer power of her haunting Celtic melodies have found her in great demand in Hollywood, where her music is featured in movies like the Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman romance Far and Away, and Martin Scorsese's Age of Innocence. Now she has a brand new single to hit the record shops very soon, and I'm delighted that she's found the time to join us this afternoon. So I know you'll give a very special welcome to Enya. It's really very nice to catch up with you again. Our paths cross about every sort of 5 or 6 years, I think.
It does. Yeah.
This is the first time, though, that you've been in the studio, in a studio-based album for a couple of years now, isn't it?
For 5 years.
5 years?
Yes,
gosh.
it is.
So why is that?
Well, what has happened was with the Memory Trees, that was 5 years ago, and I went on a very long promotional trip. And then in between, I worked on the Best Of album, Paint the Sky with Stars, and there were 2 new tracks to write for that. And then another promotional trip for that. So on this album, it was 2 years on working on it. To some people, that's a long time, but to me, that's as long as it took.
Are you an absolute perfectionist when it comes to laying down the tracks and perfecting your music?
Well, I think, to me, it's important, you know, the end result, that it's what I'm happy with. And so that's really the priority always for me.
But this album, I'm told, has just gone, you know, bananas in every country you can think of inside a very short time. So you must be pleased.
It has. I'm very pleased, absolutely. I have to say that when I work on an album, I do kind of isolate myself from, you know, the pressure of the success from the other albums. And I do it so well that it's like it's always my first album, you know? And I kind of enjoy that, but because of that, you know, your anticipation is of, you know, will anybody listen to the music? So, of course, I'm delighted with the reaction.
Now, where are you at musically at the moment? Like, where's your mind in terms of what you want to achieve or the feel that you want to create?
I always like to feel that I'm progressing, you know, that what I've done, you know, a few years back, that I'm not looking to repeat that. And that's where I forget the success. I feel that I've got to kind of set myself a challenge musically each time I work, you know, on an album. And I love music so much, and I just want to be really happy with what I'm working on. And I always like that, you know, anything can happen in the studio.
So what would you say the conclusion of this album was? You know, if you had to analyse it and say, what is the conclusion then of this period or this album and the 2 years that I've put into it?
It's a very positive album, because that's where I am at the moment. You know, it's very reflective of who I am, you know, the music, because I write the music, I perform the music, so... I
love the title, by the way, A Day Without Rain. That's a very positive title in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can take it literally for what it means, but you can interpret your own thoughts to that title, which I like.
I want to talk a little bit about Ireland, because I remember when I was working on BBC in Northern Ireland and playing the records in, we used to always talk about your music, your family music, in terms of a basis of classical and folk and jazz, and it was a bit of everything. And would you say that that's what stood you in great stead, the fact that you have this wide understanding of music?
Absolutely, because I come from, as you know, a musical family. And what my parents have given me is a great love of music, because, you know, where I come from in, you know, County Donegal, in the Gaeltacht area, speaking Gaelic as a first language, there's a lot of Irish traditional music in that area. But then my father, who toured with his band, they played sort of Glenn Miller type of songs and Irish ballads. And then my mother is a music teacher, so she introduced me to classical music. So growing up, hearing all this diverse music, I think, was great.
And as you said, the Irish language, the Gaelic, is not actually spoken in that many areas of Ireland proportionately. What I find fascinating is the fact that your music in Gaelic goes worldwide. And, you know, people may not even at times understand what it's all about or what the words actually say, but they accept it and they love it.
They do, but I think that's to do with the emotional content within the song. You know, they seem to be able to relate to it, no matter what language, because I sing in Latin and
It's fascinating that, though, that people can pick up on the emotion immediately without actually technically understanding the words. I mean, in a different vein altogether, Julio does the same thing in Spanish, because people love the Spanish records without really knowing what the songs mean.
Yeah, so I think people just pick up on that sort of emotional content within the music, yeah.
Now, in your private life, I don't mean private, but in terms of where you're living, I gather that you're renovating a castle, no less, in Ireland.
It's restoring an old castle. There had been a fire there, and it's an old castle. It's 1840, but there was a fire there in 1924, and I'm bringing it back to. It's a Victorian castle, so I'm bringing it back to.
How many
what
rooms do you have?
There's a lot of rooms there,
what
but
are we talking
I
about,
have
20,
to say,
40 or what?
No, I have to say it is very much a small castle. You know, when it's not a castle with very big ballrooms and, you know, masses of sort of bedrooms. It's very much a home, and that's why I fell in love with it. And I'm just in the process of just finishing the
enjoying
restoration.
that? Is that a great release?
It is. It's been very interesting, you know, because like looking up what it should look like and bringing it back to what, you know, it would have looked like at that time. It's been very interesting, you know.
So when will you move into it, do you think?
It'll be spring.
Spring. How lovely, though.
Because I'd be still promoting this album up to then. So.
Are you amused sometimes when they call you a recluse? They'll call you now the recluse in the castle. Because that's not true.
No, it's just that what I do is when I do promotional work for the album, I spend a lot of time doing, you know, television work and radio and press. But then I feel there's a time where, you know, I have to get back to living what I call a normal lifestyle. Sure. And it's important to me. And I just think, like, for, I think for the paparazzi, they find it a little bit too normal, and you know, it's not sensationalist stories, so they don't write about me, you know. So it suits me fine, because I think it's important to me musically to be able to get back to my roots, you know, get back to family and friends and living
and the emotion
life.
of all of that, really. Well, we're going to hear the new single, thankfully, which I'm looking forward to enormously. What's the feel of this one in terms of content?
The song is called Wild Child, but it's actually about a day, how unpredictable a day can be. And you get up in the morning and you have sort of plans made, but it can go any way. And that's really the theme of the song.
Well, I'm going to let you join at least part of your band today, and that gorgeous white piano over there. So,
okay.
Enya, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Enya. Would you like to get another? Well, of course, for us, it's always a great treat to have music in the house. And here with a new single, as you just heard him mention, it's called Wild Child, by the way. It comes from the album A Day Without Rain, and we're delighted to say she's at the piano, all organised. So once again, let's hear it for Enya. gorgeous. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was really fabulous. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. I just love this white piano, don't you? Well, of course, many thanks to Enya and all the girls here. And as she's contributed a lot of music to films, I know that you'd be interested in Monday's show because we're going to meet legendary cameraman and director Jack Cardiff. He has lit gorgeous women like Marilyn Monroe, Ava Gardner and Sophia Loren. So we'll see you Monday. Have a wonderful weekend from all of us. Bye-bye.
Stars, my time flies, baby, we could be there soon. A one-way ticket to Mars. My time flies, out mine underneath the tree. An apple falls at his head. My time flies, out mine will bear symphony. It's 1812. So let's let yesterday go. Could be we step out again. Could be